This is a fair request, and I promise I will not judge any person only as a teenager. If you will constantly remind yourself that some of my generation judges people by their race, their belief, or the color of their skin, and that this is no more right than saying all teenagers are drunken dope addicts or blue sniffers.
So I get theme music now, and it's great. I don't know how many people actually know that that song is by Less Than Jake and called All My Best Friends Are Nailheads, but the bit that's important about it is it really does highlight all the stigmas that have existed in our past as a species that we've overcome. We did used to judge people by their race, their belief, the colour of their skin, and mental health is no different. We shouldn't judge people based on whether they're depressed or anxious. Everyone is inclusive. So welcome to Breaking the Stigma. This is a talk that has more false starts than Lord of the Rings has false endings. Thank you for hosting it, but let's crack right on. So who the fuck am I? Well, I'm Andrew Salkeld. I am a chartered accountant. I trained at PwC. I specialised in corporate finance, working on millions of pounds of transactions worldwide. I since moved into industry, specialising in business intelligence, data and deals. And I then, following a number of positions there, I am now an investor, finance director, co-owner at a startup in Leeds with the grand ambitions of helping the high street fight back against online. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? It sounds like I've got it all sorted. A little bit arrogant, not too much. Anyway, here's the other half. I'm Andy. I live with depression. I have been suicidal at 3 points in my life, but I can put a finger on there, maybe more in the future, who knows. I'm a big geek. I love board games, I love computer games. I live with my little kitten, Pika, in Leeds. Yes, she is named after a Pokemon. I listen to chiptune music. I spend my time giving these talks. I've even written a book, and I do what I can to prove that even though life may be a four-letter word at times, it doesn't mean I am. It doesn't mean anyone else is. So, as I just mentioned, I'm not allowed to not talk about my book. It is coming out on the 14th of May this year, and it is called Life is a Four-Letter Word. It's a mental health survival guide for professionals, but actually it's relevant to anyone. If you've ever felt that pressure of expectation, if you've ever felt or wondered what it would be like to just stop, please read it. It is probably about as funny as I could make something, which isn't that good. But it is coming out, and if you are interested in it, you can pre-order it now, you can do all these things. I made a big promise to myself when I started this, that I was never going to push anything I was going to do. I was never going to push the book, push these talks, because for me, I don't want an important message to be hidden behind a paywall in any sense. And this is an important message that everyone should listen to. So, as you will see, this is going to be a slideshow of memes. The reason I've chosen memes, well, firstly, I was running out of ideas. Zaina asked me to give a talk on World Mental Health Day 2018, and I was like, oh, I should do a slideshow. I don't know what, and then I just decided to do it with memes for some reason. And the reason why is mental health is an incredibly personal topic. What one person feels and what one person thinks is entirely unique. And that makes this a complex subject, so I want to simplify it as much as possible. And memes are a really good way of doing that. They're also quite funny. And this is a dark topic. I will be talking about depression, about suicide. I will talk you through my thought processes. And it is important to understand and to see the light in it, because there is light in this subject. And with that, it is okay to laugh. There will be some pretty dark humour throughout this. Please do feel free to laugh. No one is judging you here. This is a safe environment. A few caveats to begin with. One, I am not a therapist. I am not a psychotherapist. I'm not a counsellor. I have no qualifications in this field whatsoever. All I have is lived experience. And that means this is my story. And with it being my story, I'm making sure that I'm not going to mention names. I'm not going to talk about people or places. The only people that will be named in this are my cats. Okay? What it also means is this isn't a witch hunt. I will talk about my past, the decisions I made. I do not regret them. I do not hold anything or any ill will against the people involved or the companies involved in them. I have the utmost respect for them. Just because it wasn't right for me doesn't mean it's not right for everyone. So please take that in mind when I start throwing shade in places that I probably shouldn't. Finally, this. This is a reminder that I put on this a year and a half ago, and a reminder that it's still true today. You might warm to me as a speaker. You might even warm to me as a person. But I don't feel confidence in this. I don't feel any amount of esteem or anything. I feel like a fake and a failure, and that this shouldn't be me up here. There are other people in the world that have had far harder lives than I have gone through more trials and more tribulations, that are far more deserving of having a book written about them. So then you ask, well, if you're not that confident in this, if you're not certain about it, why you even stood up here? Well, when I told the world, or my professional network, for the first time, that I was suicidal, that I had almost taken my life, it wasn't people who didn't care about me. It was because people didn't know. Because I wore a mask, I wore an acceptable mask to work every day. I put on that fake smile, that fake laughter, and people didn't know what was going on underneath. And given we are on Time to Talk Day, this is the most important message, and this is why I do what I do by standing here. So that all those people that may be in the position where I am, where they are paralysed to talk about what they are feeling, what they are thinking, what is going on in their life, and just feel the uncertainty that is life in general. I do it for them. I don't do this for fame or fortune. I do it for those people that are in the same place that I was many years ago. So, now we'll actually start. So, this was my life, every single day. We work hard, we really do work hard. But often we feel guilty for having our own lives and for having our own wants that are outside of work. A great example of this was I was once working at an audit client. Yes, I was an auditor. Who hiss? I know. And I was asked by some friends to go out for my birthday, celebrate being 25. And you guys would be so nice. So I told the audit room, thinking, oh yeah, we're all right. No. Passive aggression came in. What? You're going out for your birthday again? Oh, fine. We'll pick up the slack while you're off having fun. Firstly, who says I can only celebrate my birthday once? Secondly, who says we're behind on work? I'm ahead on work. I've got that under control. Thirdly, stop trying to make me feel guilty for enjoying my life. That's not yours to do. But as this continued, slowly but surely, I gave myself and my outside life to my career. Now, not everyone in this room is going to be accountants, so everyone's going to know what it's like. So let me give you a bit of a rundown in the life in professional services. So a lot of what happens in professional services is governed by financial institutions. So the FSA, I believe you might be aware of that. And that means a lot of what happens in professional services is dictated by law, which means the results of any given thing are very likely going to happen, which means quality is practically assured between the different firms. You can't compete on quality. You also can't easily compete on cost, because as soon as you start chipping away at your cost, you're devaluing your people, and your people are your product at the end of the day. finally, and this is one of the most fundamental things in it, it's a fundamentally Darwinian place. Survival of the fittest throughout. If you're not part of it and you're not going in the direction that the firm is going, what are you even doing here? Everyone is replaceable. And what that leads to is that leads to a lot of competition amongst the people within the organisation. There's a lot of, well, I need to get ahead, I need to be above the person next to me. And because of that, you end up with workplace bullying. But don't worry, just as we've grown up from when we were in the schoolyard, so is bullying. It's no longer called bullying, it's called banter. And suddenly it becomes acceptable. Did you check whether you making fun of the person always being late? Did you check they're doing okay at home and there's not a problem there? When you make fun of someone for their hobbies, the games they love to play, did you check whether they actually enjoy them, whether they're good at them, whether it means something to them? Did you check when you make fun of their hair? Oh, all right, fine, I'll give them that. My hair hasn't changed in about 20 years, and hopefully it won't change for another 20 years. No, we don't check, and we make it acceptable. But if you don't like what's being said, speak out about it. As you can probably tell, I am not the standard mould of accountant. I am stood here, I like board games. I do not watch football on weekends. I am not part of a rugby club. I don't even know how to swing a golf racket. Whatever. I stood out, but I tried to fit in. And that slowly degraded and ate away at my personality. But don't worry about it. That's what everyone always says, don't worry about it. So there's a typo on page 183 of a document. Don't worry about it. So there's a rounding in an equity schedule at the end of the deal. Don't worry about it. So you only spend 2 hours reviewing an audit file. Don't worry about it. What's the worst thing that happened? No. All of us, no matter where we work, we all care that we're doing a good job. We all care that we're delivering good things for our clients. And what that means is, particularly in professional services, is we go that extra mile. Because we can't compete on cost. We can't compete on quality. We can't really compete on our people, because you can't have too many loose cannons and too many people that are outliers, because you could scare away the clients. So how do we compete? And you can really taste the bullshit in this one. We put ourselves in our client's shoes. We put clear blue water between us and the competition. We believe velocity is more than distance over time. Yeah, of course it is. Velocity is a vector. It comes with direction. What it really means, what all this marketing and business development bullshit really means, is we'll just do more work and not charge you for it. And because we're doing so much, and we do it because we care. Don't forget about this. We really care about our clients, just as you will care about your clients and your customers. We go the extra mile. But because we don't know enough about our customers, because we don't work in their industries, in professional services, we start second guessing. And we start second guessing our boss, who's second guessing his boss, who's second guessing their boss, who's second guessing the client. And you end up going down these rabbit holes of questions, trying to figure out what would actually matter when. So a simple question like, how do you think so-and-so would feel if the tax rate increases this way? Then you go down 24 hours of doing numerous calculations to try and figure it out. And actually all we needed to do was ask the client, what do you think is going to happen if the tax rate does this? But anyway, eventually we get to go home. We get to do what we want. We may not get to do it when we want, we get to do what we want. Or instead, because we are so diligent, because we do care about our work and about our clients, we start thinking about how they could interpret what was said, whether an email could be read one way or another, whether they're worrying about a number or not. Maybe after a couple of hours of reflecting, she's getting out of work. Finally, begin to relax. And then, that blessed device we've all put on mute because we know it can interrupt our lives and get in the way of things, it rings. And you think, fuck, I know exactly what this is. Hi, did you spot that typo on page 183? Yes, I did. I was going to correct it in the morning. Does it need to be corrected now? Well, we won't change it because we are diligent, because we do care. Because we work so hard, because we do care so much, we go that extra mile. When someone actually says a compliment, thank you for the hard work, we don't take it, we don't accept the compliment, we don't accept the kind words. Question it. Thank you for the hard work. You know what I did? I made that work hard. Or maybe they think I worked hard now, but don't work hard the rest of the time. Maybe they're just being sarcastic and they're just trying to undermine me. Maybe they think I need praise to build up my insecurities about whether I did work hard or not. Let's take it out of the context of work. You are beautiful. How many people get told this, and how many people immediately go, no. Most of us. Do they think I'm beautiful because I'm wearing makeup today? Do they think it's the makeup that makes us beautiful? Do they think I'm insecure and need to hear these things? Are they hitting on me? No. If someone says a compliment, take it for what it's worth. Take it for face value. Because they're not said often enough. So lesson 1 for the day. Say thank you to people. Do say thank you to them. Because we are rewarded well. We are rewarded incredibly well for what we do, whether it's actual remuneration or holidays or pension or bonus or whatever. We are remunerated well. But what's more valuable is actually feeling valued in what we're doing. But this is where my insecurities took over. This is where things went worse for me. Because it wasn't about whether people loved me. I knew my family loved me. But do they like me? Did anyone like me? That same inquisitive, questioning mindset that comes from working with private equity businesses the world over, where you start challenging your basic assumptions. Were my friends with me out of convenience? Were we just friends for so long that it's easier to maintain it than to actually admit what's going on? Did they just like me because I could buy the first round of drinks and would do so? But I went a step further to start questioning my family. We don't have the same hobbies. They love watching football on weekends. I hate it. We don't see each other that often. We are entirely different people. They may love me, but do they like me? Do they respect me? They still haven't read my book. And these questions start eating away at you and you start thinking, what's right here? So here's another important lesson. If you're not fine, don't say you're fine. If you're not okay, don't say you're okay. We are one of the few species on this planet that has real emotional intelligence. We actually have emotions. And if we don't use them, we stop being human. And we're no different from the AIs that science fiction is continuously telling us are going to take over the planet and destroy us all. Use your humanity. Use your emotions. You could end up here. And it's very real. When I first made this meme, I was like, geez, that really is exactly spot on how it felt. So we're going to now take a look into the slightly darker side of things. what actually depression means to me. My suicide story, however you want to put it. So, as a reminder, this is my story, this is my experience with it. Other people will have different experiences, other people will feel differently about it. I was diagnosed with depression sometime around 2015, but looking back throughout my life, I can see it probably going back all the way to being a teenager. It has been with me always. The diagnosis actually helps because I understand it more, and I feel I've grown more knowing this about me. I am medicated. I have been on 3 different antidepressants in my life. I started off on citalopram, moved to sertraline, and I'm now on mirtazapine. It doesn't make me weak. Lots of people think, oh, taking medication, seeing a therapist. I see a therapist as well, by the way. Actually, it doesn't. It means you know yourself, and it means you've accepted these things. Because one of the things with mental health, depression and anxiety, is it is part of brain chemistry. And again, I always joke about this because we refer to it as brain chemistry. Chemistry is the science of the physical. None of this is physical. It's all emotional and all in our heads. So, my journey. 2017, I was in a bit of a rough place. I was in the middle of my career. Work was fairly dull. I was in the middle of life, probably about 32, 33, and everything was just a bit stale. A lot of my friends had gone off, they'd had children, and they were, and I wasn't seeing them as much. My family were busy with what they were up to. They were doing their old things. And just when I was like, oh, I don't know what to do here. Just when that was happening, my wife came home. She said to me, it's over. I'm a lesbian. And I was Ross Geller. And so, it always makes people laugh. Now, a couple of things to understand. I knew she was bisexual. I actually set her up with her first girlfriend when we were back at university. And she'd been going through therapy to work through some of these things. And it's important to state now that what she did then, I have the utmost respect for. I will fist bump her until the day we both die, because she stood up for what she believed in, or what she believed was right. And that is real strength right there. But anyway, I'd had this, my life had collapsed around me, and I literally collapsed and barely made it to bed. I was cooking at the time. It was halloumi, pesto, pineapple, pasta dish, all fresh. I'm actually a good cook. And I just collapsed and I just kind of gave up. I think that made it even worse was I was meant to be speaking at my oldest friend's first daughter's naming day. It's a mouthful. Don't say it 10 times fast. And I cancelled. How was I meant to welcome a new life into the world when I didn't want to be a part of it anymore? How was I meant to say positive things? But here's the other thing. Here's the thing people don't tell you. Losing a loved one hurts. It really does. But in that moment, I didn't just lose my wife. We were building a future together. We were going to grow old. We were going to retire. I was gone. We just bought a house. We were redecorating it. We need to sell that. Gone. We had 2 little cats, Sky and Roxy. Absolutely wonderful, absolute dimes. But they need to be rehomed as we rehomed ourselves. They were gone. Here's the real kick. We were trying to have kids. Gone. That future that I dreamed of, that future where I put all my happiness, thinking, yeah, someday I'll have a nice, happy family and we'll be living comfortably. Maybe we'll retire and have kids. Brilliant. All that future, all that hope, all that happiness that I placed just outside my reach, gone in a heartbeat. So when people ask me what depression is like, it is a heavy numbness. It is a numbness that consumes not just the happiness in your life, it consumes the sadness as well, leaves you as a husk of a human being with this weight you're carrying. And when you're not feeling anything, you are empty. So when we go back to the previous slide, and I felt no different from those AIs, because I couldn't feel, and I couldn't think outside of the emptiness and the numbness I was feeling. So I got to this place. So I was busy. I'd done maths about this. I worked out the best point in my house to hang myself. I'd been a good little accountant, good little mathematician. I'd done the work. I knew that I probably needed 2 belts to support my weight when hanging from the top of my stairs. And I found that. I don't want to fail in my final action when I've failed in everything else I've ever done in my life. So I was sat in my bedroom, 2 cats, Sky and Roxy, fussing around me, with belts, ready. I phoned those. Might as well see who it is, haven't I? It's a very simple message. Then again, I'm sorry I can't remember dearly. But it just said pub. And it was a reminder from my best friend that we were meant to be going out in a few weeks. We were going to be catching up. And in that instant, when I felt there was nothing about me, when I felt there was absolutely no reason for me to be here, someone else who'd been through their own hardships and been through their own struggles wanted me still around. And in that instant, I stopped and I laughed and I said, yeah, of course. And life finds a way. And that is really the whole story about it. But then obviously I now have to deal with the fact that, I say deal with, this is one of the most important lessons you'll ever learn. It's about acceptance. I have to accept the fact that I did reach that point, and I was at a point of almost ending things. But suddenly I'm here, and I'm like, okay, fine, I kind of need to figure something out now. What am I going to do? Because I don't want to feel like this again. I don't want other people to feel like this. So, I wrote an article. I'm not imaginative with titles. It was called Breaking the Stigma. I wrote an article on LinkedIn, and it started, read this or don't. That choice is yours. My name is Salkeld, blah, 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 and I almost killed myself. The reason I wrote this article, again, this is completely true. I was going to be live streaming myself playing World of Warcraft for the launch of the latest expansion, for Azeroth. Yes, people did actually subscribe to my channel and watch me play video games. It was a weird place. But I posted this on LinkedIn because I figured, well, you know what? My professional network, they're pretty wealthy, I'm not going to lie. They often support a good charity cause, and I'm doing this for charity. I want to raise awareness of mental health and what it can do to people. The fact is, they probably don't have many accountants, or particularly male accountants, that are sharing these sorts of stories. So I shared it, expecting to get a couple of £10, maybe raise £100 in total, whatever. Maybe some, oh, sorry to hear that, glad you're doing better, and things like that. And, well, it kind of went completely the other way. This lady right here, she got in contact with me and said, do I want to share my story in NatWest in front of 30-odd people on World Mental Health Day 2018. And I've kind of been riding that ever since. And somehow I'm here telling the same story, using the same cards, written on the same computer that I almost tried to kill myself from. It's great, isn't it? And now I've written a book about it. And I started doing more and more things charity related. So Here's something many people don't believe about me nowadays. I am terrified of needles. Yes, I know, I've got a full tattoo. No, when I have a filling, I have it without anaesthetic. So think about that. If that drill slips and hits a nerve, yes, you're cringing back. That is how much I hate needles. So I decided that I would try to raise money to get a tattoo for charity. And the internet's a wonderful place. Obviously, people donated. We didn't reach the target I set, but I ended up getting my MIZ7, my little gamer tag, that has since become my company name and corporate logo. Whatever, these things happen. And yeah, exactly. And then what I realised as I was getting more and more tattoos, I realised so many people throughout my career had always said to me, Andy, you wear your heart on your sleeve, and that's a risk in business. So now I literally wear my heart on my sleeve. This is dedicated to everything that I love about this store. I have a Leeds skyline here, I have a York skyline here, I have pokeballs, mathematics, everything on my arm, so that I can never lose it again, because I did almost lose it all. So, this is a new slide that's come in here very recently, but is requested a lot, because this is the fear in business. This is the fear we all have. If I talk about my mental health, am I going to get the same opportunities, or am I going to be pigeonholed as that guy sat in the corner who's stressed about everything? We can never promote him to director, we can never do this, blah, blah, blah. That's the fear. Is it true? Well, I can't answer that. Every business is the same. Every business is different. Nothing is the same. Some people will judge, some people won't. What you need to worry about is, are you happy being who you are? Because since I started speaking openly, since I gave the first talk on World Mental Health Day 2018, and since I started speaking openly in all places, I've had more and more and more people ask to work with me and want to work with me. No, it may not be as a finance director or corporate financier or any of that, but they want to work with me as a person, me as an individual, in any regard. And that's what you have to decide. Because it's all well and good. You can put on that brave face, you can push your way through, make your way to the top. If you're not happy in yourself along the way, then you're going to end up with stuff happening. And I can't tell you what, I can't tell you how it will affect you, but it will be there. And so we come towards the end of Breaking the Stigma, and we come to some of the hardest lessons in life. And this one is very much about acceptance. Because we do work hard, we do work really hard, and we push and drive ourselves forwards towards achieving whatever greatness we believe we want to achieve. But sadly, life is unfair. You can sit out on Siren's Rock singing to that prince, and Eric would just walk by. He couldn't just ignore you. You can work hard. You can work tirelessly hard. And then you could just collapse. No fault of your own. You could get coronavirus. Who knows? And you could wake up in a hospital wondering, what is it? Well, it's a big building with patients, but that's not important right now. And then, rest in peace, Leslie Nielsen, absolutely. And as you're lying in bed, your life is draining from you, you won't dream of having more money, you won't dream of buying more shoes or shopping more. You're dreaming of time. You're dreaming of time lost, time you could have spent with people, time where you could have been more honest with yourself. And then, as light fades, as time goes away, you'll remember was a fucking typo on page 180. No, life is unfair. Society has lied to us. Our parents have lied to us. Disney has lied to us. There are no universal scales when you come to the end of your life. You are not guaranteed so much ups and so many downs, so much good and so much bad. It just is what it is. That is not guaranteed. So just because life is shit today doesn't mean it is shit tomorrow. It could be shit tomorrow. You could have a life full of lemons, but you'll never know until you see the next day whether there will still be lemons or not. Because whilst cause and effect exist, there is no universal balance system. So there is no harm in waiting just another day to see if there is just another opportunity for things to be slightly better. So, that's a lot to take in. So I'm going to leave you with three things, three really important points to remember. A lot of it gets covered in the book, but these are three things to take away with you. And they do all start with you. What's this? Firstly, accept who you are. Don't wear that mask that you're worried about showing the real you. Show the real you. Be the real you. Because otherwise, all you're doing is, when you are building new friendships, new relationships, new anything and everything, and that's built upon a lie, you are giving it a false foundation, and that brings in risk. So accept who you are. Find what makes you happy. Find your happiness, but find it in the present. Don't put your happiness in the future. Because all you are doing between now and the future is adding risk. Because no matter what happens, there is always a risk of change outside of your control. You can plan everything, but there are factors outside of your control. So find happiness in the present. And finally, and this is one of the most important lessons, and I've been told that if everyone lived by it, 90% of the tragedies that have ever happened in the world would never have happened, and the only ones left would have been natural disasters. It is written on the wall of a great company that I believe in. It is there to make sure people live by it. So live by it. Make your colleagues live by it. And it is very simple. Just don't be a dick.